Hello and welcome to the iRacing Esports Network and the World GT Championship presented by Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me this evening is Alex Simpson in the commentary booth with Sam Kumo on the cameras, and we're here at Zolder for round 4 of the championship, and I'm very pleased to have you alongside me for this evening's racing. I'm not sure how much of this season you've seen, but it's been mega competitive in the 3 rounds we've had so far this season, and anyone who saw the Belle Isle round just 2 weeks ago will know how fantastic this series can get.
Yep, good evening all. Good to be here. I've seen a couple of the races, I have to say. I haven't watched them all, just seen some highlights and saw some chat and thought, oh, I'll have a quick little look. And yeah, like you say, I think there has been some extremely close racing. I did look at that little that endurance race, and that was pretty decent. And yeah, what a different circuit to come to today at Zolder, of course. So from the tight, twisty circuits to Detroit, where the walls are so close. Got a little bit more open, but it is still quite tight. I think it's going to be difficult to overtake here. Of course, not many long straights. Turn one is going to be your best bet, I'm sure.
Yes, I think so. Very wide turn in that turn one. They always call the Hungarian the Monaco without walls. I think that could live up to that description as well, to be honest. We've had a lot of tight, twisty circuits so far this season. We had Brands Hatch as round 1, and then Snedston, and then Belle Isle, and then Zolder. It does open up a little, but I think we've got Monza next up, but we'll focus on today's racing. 3 races, of course. 20 minutes each, and they're currently setting their qualifying times. These guys get as many qualifying times as they like. They're all out on track at the same time, and we've already seen some quite interesting antics from the drivers. We've got 50 drivers out there, and so you can imagine around a relatively short circuit like Zolder can face some problems. Currently got Brian Lockwood on the pole position at the moment, but it's ever so close all the way down the field. And Alex, at the moment, the top 30 drivers separated by 1 second. I mean, and that's in 4 different GTE cars as well. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, iRacing have been working pretty hard to try and get the balance of performance decent, as has the league admins and that. So, and yeah, very close. I mean, I'm just in a graphic on screen at the moment. So yeah, top 20, just over half a second separate them as well. So nothing really between the top 4 there. I mean, less than a tenth of a second. So extremely close. How that's going to transfer into the race, we'll have to, of course, wait and see. Some cars are slightly stronger in race spec compared to Q. So it might mean that we'll have some interesting racing to commentate on for sure.
Absolutely, and it's going to be tough to overtake around this place as well. Like you said, Alex, earlier on, there's the big main opportunity is going to be into turn 1, but apart from that, there's a few opportunities, especially for this BMW car, very wide car. I know I say that every week, but well, around these tight, twisty circuits, it is difficult to overtake in it, and it's difficult for it to be overtaken as well. Just half a minute left of qualifying to go. Of course, the drivers can complete the lap that they start. In the championship, Mark Fletcher currently leading the way. He actually extended his championship lead at Belle Isle because the admins use a system where you get points at half distance as well. And Fletcher was leading for 90% of that race, just lost out to Carl Janssen at the end. But he's got a pretty decent margin over Christian Challoner, who's just been, well, I think he's won a race, but on the most part, it's just been accumulating those points, really grinding it out. Defending champion Carl Janssen, despite winning at Belle Isle, he wasn't doing very well at the half stage after taking a early pit stop, so he's down in 3rd position now. Keith Camillet in 4th, and then it's Christian Rose as well in 5th place, but quite a bit of a divide. And I imagine, Alex, you've been in a lot of championships. You want a good start, I imagine. We've got a lot of rounds this season, I think 15 of them. But if you get a bad first 4 rounds or so, it does leave you a lot to do for the rest of the season.
Exactly, you're constantly playing catch up really all season. You start to think about how you're driving and you prioritize just getting good solid results to try and work your way back up the table and things like that. So yeah, it does play on your mind, and yeah, all of a sudden you're not sort of putting in the kind of performance that you're sort of accustomed to. So yeah, very key to get off to a good start.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's an opportunity for some redemption for some of these drivers today. Bed, who is just ahead of his relation, Tony Bed. We believe that they're brothers, but aren't 100% sure. Hopefully, they'll have a interview with us at some points in the season, and we can check them out. They are two 100s between one another. Must be twins at that rate, I imagine. And in 13th and 14th place, it looks like Brian Lockwood is going to take pole position then, which I believe might be his first pole position of the season. We have seen pole position gone to a few different drivers so far this season. Championship leader Mark Fletcher in 6th place. Just watching Pete Howard. Obviously, this isn't a fast lap. It would have to be a very quick lap for him to get across the line. He's got 10 seconds to get across the line before the session will take over, but just getting that little bit more practice in before we get going for this event. Of course, rolling starts in these GTE cars. We could see quite a bit of action on the opening lap. So, the grid for meeting 4 of the season, race 1 of the evening, and it's Brian Lockwood on pole position. Less than 2 100ths ahead of Arthur LeHook. Keith Camilleri, who's quite far up in the championship, starts in 3rd place with Thibaut Kazorbon in 4th. Good to see Josh Thompson out there in 5th place. Certainly watch out for him. Already won a race 1 at Snetstone earlier on the season. There's Mark Fletcher, championship leader. Mike Partington, Christian Chalanet, 2nd place in the championship in 8th. And then it's Laszlo Kotchoks and Maxime Bryant rounding out the top 10. And then it's Chris Danes, Michael Avdoka, Barry Baird, Tony Baird, Billy Fletcher, Stephen Baxter, Lewis Bibby, Brandon Tabone, Ross McFarlane, Marco Nomella, and then it's Christian Rose, Matt Bunn, Jake Blackhall, Dave Baker, Ben Palmer, Chris Wood, Danny Henney in 27th place, and then it's Richard Gafenku, Pete Newman, Pete Howard, Miguel Freitas, Nicholas Helm, Chaz Jacob, great to see him out there. First round since the opening round after having a very nice Spa weekend, I heard. Richard Warmingham is in 34th. Mike Gray is in 35th. Then it's Michael Blake, Dan McCauley, Mark Woodhouse, Ashley Blakehead, Edward Rapriger, Rob Cuss, John Tusting, and Ronald Moons was the last driver to set a qualifying time. And then the drivers who didn't set qualifying times, this could well be due to pit lane starts. And I think Carl Janssen did get a penalty, despite winning at Bellard, did pick up a penalty on the way. He starts near the back. Also, Ben Gregory as well picked up a penalty. Not sure about the others. Jason Dilworth, Dennis Ippenberg, James Eagleston, Julian Kaiser, and Ethan Bass. Apologies, Bass. We went through this kerfuffle earlier on in the season. It is Ethan Bass, of course. And I don't envy Adam usually having to be through the grid, but there you go. All 50 drivers on the grid, and they're about to get the rolling start underway.
Full lap, of course, around here. So yeah, got a little while to wait. Not many of the circuits do we do a full lap anymore, but fortunately, it is one of the short ones.
I mean, it's not Road America, is it?
Well,
We
this
can
is
be
true.
thankful of that.
But haven't they changed Road America now? I thought they changed that.
No.
No, it's still on
No,
the.
no.
It was on the back straight now.
Still entire lap. So, like one of the longest tracks on our racing. Not good. Silverstone, very short formation lap as we learned yesterday. Line up on the Hanger Straight. Really do need to get that in at Road America. Of course, apart from that, iRacing is a superb product. Of course, but they could improve on their pace laps, I'm sure. But Brian Lockwood starting from pole position, Alex, and I mean, really good chance. Of all the tracks to get a pole position round, this is a very good one. He can get a good launch away with that tight, twisty chicane. He can pull a gap straight away. And I mean, it's so difficult to overtake around this place, I imagine.
Well, yeah, this is what I was saying earlier on. I think it is going to be tough. It's all important just to get a good run off that final chicane. See if you can get it done. I mean, there are a couple of other places. There's the really tight hairpin towards the end of the lap as well. Someone's at a pretty poor mid sector. They might be able to dive up the inside there. It can be a bit risky, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think I still think we'll see some good overtaking, especially with the reverse grid races. Of course, that always spices it up.
Yeah, definitely. We can get some decent reverse grids in this. It's something between about 15 and 25, I believe. And when you've got all the drivers in that range within half a second of one another, obviously it's very difficult for the very front runners, even those guys, to make their way up. We haven't seen a driver win 2 races so far this season in any of the rounds, I believe. I doubt we're going to see that again because, yeah, like I said, extremely fast drivers out here today. There's the Beard brothers. Hopefully they don't take each other out. They are teammates and brothers. I mean, if they take each other out, all hell could break loose, I imagine, in that household. So it's Brian Lockwood then in pole position, and he's going to be able to decide when he puts his foot down. Of course, he might take it early, because you can see really tight twisty chicane here. They have to go single file pretty much. They are going to try to go double file. It's going to be difficult, but it's Lockwood from the pole position. LeHook in second place. Holds off, does Lockwood, but now he puts his foot down, and we are away at Zolder for 20 minutes of racing. Race 1 is green. And side by side between second and third place, Kazorban straight away down the inside. He's certain in fourth place. He might be into second place straight away. He's going to have to go around the outside of his teammates. But now he's under pressure from the driver behind. Keith Camilleri trying to go down the inside. Just about cutting him off there. It's Kazorban. Nicely done. Brian gets ahead of Kotchuk. Baxter ahead of Fletcher. Namella ahead of McFarlane. That's the only changes in the top 20 so far. But this is where we could see a pinch point. You're going to be ready to go for a move into this chicane, but if you're on the outside, you're really in trouble, as we see a spin around, and that could be big incidents because they're almost on the racing line. Fortunately, managed to get off the racing line there, and now we've got another one into the wall, and that's pretty much a pile-up.
Notorious, unfortunately, for Zolder. And no one's slowing down. Put the brakes on. What are you doing, guys? Come on, use your head. This isn't rookies. We know what happens here. Everyone bounces off the walls, but yeah, unfortunately, everyone has just tried to steam through there. And there's still someone coming through it flat out in the background. Sorry, I don't like to point it out, but yeah, unfortunately, you just need to sometimes. But yeah, this circuit, you always got to know that is going to happen into that first chicane. It's so tight and twisty. As soon as someone gets a little bit loose, well, it causes no end of problems.
I mean, it's up there with Road America from last season. Anyone who's seen the memes of that Road America race will appreciate its legendariness. But on that day, we saw a pile up about halfway around the opening lap, and then we saw a lot more calamity afterwards as well, with drivers glitching through one another. They are going slowly, by the way, because we got a caution. You can probably see
I
that
didn't
on
need
the
to.
overlay, and yeah, certainly wise. Maybe a little bit late, but sometimes it's our responsibility to do that. I don't have that power, unfortunately. Not sure if Adam usually does, but well, here it was, and I mean, yeah, just it's almost blind there, but I mean, you got it was visible, I imagine, for those guys, and they got the yellow flags as well up ahead. They got their spotter telling them there's slow cars ahead, but he did not take any recognition there, and this is going to take quite a lot of the time out of this opening race. There's Carl Janssen. He disconnected before the race started. He was almost super lucky. That was almost a blessing in disguise. In the end, though,
Until he went
he
in
didn't
there.
slow down.
No,
So,
no, he didn't.
I mean, he had all the cards in his hand and he dropped them on the floor.
Yeah, what can you say? Oh, that is one for the admins to deal with, certainly. I don't think they'll be particularly happy with what they've witnessed there. And of course, unfortunately, when you do have a caution around here, we're maybe 3 laps. It's going to take a lot of this race away. We're only doing little sprint races tonight, of course, and it's going to impact on this race quite a bit. But yeah, fortunately, we do have a caution, so some people will be able to get some repairs done and things like that. But there is a lot of hammered cars out there, so yeah. This circuit reminds me very much of like Watkins Glen on the first lap. It's so easy just to get a little, someone just gets a little out of shape on that back straight at Watkins into the Armco, bounces back onto the circuit. Nobody checks up, and you have an absolutely monumental collision, and that's kind of what we've seen there coming out of the chicane. There's usually an accident going in that first lap because it's such a massive sort of break-in zone. Guys have got to go really slow. Everybody's trying to sneak an overtake or something like that. And yeah, there's a lot of side-by-side coming on the way out as well because people are offline on that first lap, and I think that's just what happened. And what the actual root cause of the exit collision was all about, I'm not sure. I couldn't quite see that. But yeah, that was what caused the big one, actually. The going into the chicane wasn't that bad. Stephen
Yeah,
Baxter there coming in.
I was about to say how clean the start was. There was no changes in the top 20 pretty much, nothing significant. You can see the amount of cars in this pit lane. It's not the longest pit lane in the world. They do have a faster pair, of course. One of them, so we can't afford another. And to be honest, by the way that went, I mean, we could see some more. I mean, that's when you just come into the pits and you're at the end of the line, probably not worth crashing into one another on the pit exit. You've probably got bigger fish to fry, or whatever the saying is. But there you go. So we'll go through the drivers who have benefited from this, shall we? So Marco Nomella's up 10 places. He's up into 10th place. Chaz Draycott's, I mean, that Spa weekend has done some good for him. He's up 19 places into 14th place. I mean, yeah, I think Chaz will not quite believe his eyes. He had a very difficult Brands Hatch round. I think he retired from all 3 races. Got some penalties as well, but he's got one of the cleanest cars on the track at the moment. A little bit of a dent, but not too bad. He's not going to have to go into the pits. And he's up 19 places. This would be one of his best results in recent seasons in this championship. Michael Blake is up 21 places just behind him. Mark Woodhouse up 22 places. Jason Dilworth is up 28 from what 46th on the grid. And he's actually the biggest gainer out there. I mean, I would go through the drivers who were involved, but I mean, I don't want to go through the entire grid once again. I imagine the pace car is going to be in on this lap. Just looking to see if there's any stragglers at the back of the field. One of them is going to be able to catch up to these guys. Carl Janssen and John Tusting and Ethan James Bass and Jürgen Kaiser have all dropped a lap down. So they may not be eligible for the reverse grid later on, and they may not score points either, so it could be very problematic for those guys. But apart from that, they're all on the lead lap, they're all in this race, and it's going to be a little bit of a shorter one. 13 minutes, pretty much, and it will still be Brian Lockwood from the pole. This time single file, this time Lockwood will once again get away. Pace cars in the pits. And away we go. Lockwood then out in the lead because Orban did get ahead of LeHook after all of that lap 1 carnage, and he's up into 2nd place. LeHook, Camillet, Partington running up the top 5, and you can see it's a little bit more serene so far than the opening lap of the race.
Yeah, I think fingers crossed. Let's not commentate curse him just yet. We're coming up to the choke point in a moment, so let's make sure everyone gets through. It does look a little bit more spread out this time though, so it was absolutely packed. It was a fantastic shot as LeHook just steams through the chicane there, but it was a fantastic shot going down into that chicane on that first and opening lap as well. So many cars just looked looked phenomenal. So
Oh dear.
Dilworth had damage already. He didn't pit, so that's not fresh damage, but of course yeah, he's not facing the right way. So yeah, not so good.
Could be better for Jason Dilworth. Unfortunately there, he gained a lot of places, but it's now Dennis Eipenberg with the most places gained, up 28. He's had a pretty good restart. I don't think there's been any changes amongst the top 10 drivers on this start. And remember, if you can finish in the top 20 in this race, you're looking good for getting it within the reverse grid, which will put you on potentially on the pole position for race 2. So very important that you do as best as you can. Fortunately, this isn't a night race, as we've got a few drivers missing their headlights out on the circuit. And you can see out in the lead, Brian Lockwood, fastest lap of the race, fastest clean lap at least of the race. He's 4/10 of a second ahead of Thibaut Kazorbon. Got side by side between Eipenberg and Fletcher Remember, Fletcher is the championship leader, and he's just got that move done. There he is in the Radicals Online Ferrari, and he has, yeah, made that move stick. So Fletcher up into 21st place. So it's important that he gains a few more places. He could be on pole position for race 2.
Yeah, and of course, you know, if you're going to have a bit of a ropey first race, the beauty of the reverse grid race is that you can react and bounce back, and that there's a good little battle going on in the background as well. I think they were nearly 2 or 3 wide going through the chicane. So, but yes, it's not over at all for Fletcher in terms of his whole race meeting. He just needs to get a good result here, and then, like you say, yeah, just bounce back in the next one and try and drive through the field in the final last race. I get a feeling problem for Pete Newman. He's dropping down the timing order rapidly. So don't know what's happened to Pete.
Yeah, there was another driver involved in that one as well. I think maybe Nicholas Helm. He's
Oh,
just dropped down. Oh dear, well that's a car over, and hopefully he won't get collected by anyone else, otherwise that's going to be off to the moon and back. Eipenberg, oh, well the drivers who've gained lots of places, Stillworth and now Eipenberg, they had gained 28 places each and have both had issues since then. As we see side by side just behind Tony Baird. Also, Daniel McCauley having an issue just ahead of these drivers, I believe. There he is. It seems like it's just a simple spin for him. We'll get back underway, but at the loss of a few places. Freitas for Team Mad, currently hunting down one of the BritTech motorsport drivers at the moment. This is, yeah, just fighting for the top 20 positions or so. I think there may have been just a spinner ahead, but I heard a little bit of tyre screening, but seemingly they all get through that chicane nicely once again. And of course, this is the really fiddly parts of the circuit where you can launch yourself over these curves, because you've got to be careful that you don't pick up a slowdown at the same time, as we see spinning round. And that is Jake Blackhall. Disappointing for him, and he's going to drop way back into 42nd place.
poor old Jake, he never has much luck, I tell you. Every time I've commentated on a World GT race or seen him in, like, you know, the BSRs or something like that, poor lad, he just seems to get involved in it. But he keeps on coming back, so fair play to him.
Absolutely. Dan McCauley just losing out.
Yeah, who's got tucked up behind him? That's Gregory, isn't it? In the Fitzeye Motorsports car. Gregory looking a bit racy. Got to be careful, of course, though, because he's got competition right up his chuffer too. So got to pick and choose your moves.
Oh, warming him with an issue now. There he is.
Yep.
Just in the background. Quite convenient. He's in the gravel. Unfortunate for Richard Warren. That was going to be a decent result for him. I think, yeah, he was in the top 20 places, was warming him. So, unfortunately, there, Evdotka fighting with Gafenku currently. Gafenku up 10 places from his start. Evdotka down 5. Don't quite know if he was maybe involved in that first lap shunt. Would have thought he'd be a little bit ahead of it, but either way you look at it, he has dropped a couple of places as almost side by side behind. That would have been ambitious from Fletcher. He is up into 19th place. So he would like a few more places, top 15, and you're guaranteed to be within the reverse grid. And so he's got a couple more places to make up. But that Ferrari, it's pretty nimble around the slow corners, and it's fast down the straight as well. So he's got a decent chance.
And no damage on it, of course, because he was one of the drivers that actually went in for the repair. So, but yeah, Gafenku having to deal with whatever rear end damage he's got. It doesn't look too severe, but it's definitely some on there. I'm looking forward to the new damage model, actually, just to see how that will affect what we see. Should get a good idea. Wings falling off and wheels going here, there, and everywhere. God, what would that crash look like earlier on today?
Oh, almost side by side between the two leaders. Lockwood is wide, and Kazorbon put his nose down the inside and almost forced him into a mistake. We saw a similar situation in the Apex Racing League British GT series yesterday, where Joe just glanced down the inside and scared his opponent off. Well, Kazorbon was doing the same tactic, but Lockwood too wise for that one. Again, trying to go around the outside like the hairpin, that's not going to work out too well. If he goes for a dive, there's pretty much nothing that Lockwood can do. but at the same time, you don't want to pick up penalty points. He doesn't want a grid start for future meetings. And Brian Lockwood, well, he's only had to drive about 13 minutes of this race at racing speed, but it's going to be a very difficult 13 minutes.
Brian definitely feeling the pressure. You can just tell a few corners. He's just gone in ever so slightly hot. And of course, it's compromising his exit. And this is why they're able to get that little run, put him under even more pressure. So just needs to calm down, make sure he nails these apex for the next sort of lap or so. And he might be able to get himself a half a second margin again. And it becomes ever so much more hard to get a move done.
Still glancing to the inside, but I mean, we're going to be difficult to find any moves into that chicane today. This is where he got super close last time, but you can see he's way too far behind. He needs to be within a tenth and a half. He was 0.3 of a second behind. You can see how the drivers behind are queuing up behind. Arthur LeHook, Keith Camillet, Mike Partington right at the rear of this, just, you know, getting out his popcorn, waiting for it all to kick off. He'll be hoping for that at least. But we haven't got many more laps to go. That takes these drivers about 1 minute 20 to get round the lap. So maybe got 5 more laps, I think. So a decent amount, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely will be. Can we just, like you say, just waiting in the wings just to see what's going to happen there, as well as Partington. Draycott still leading the AM class as well, so doing well. Michael Blake not too far behind him, just 1.3 seconds. Kafenku and Fletcher continuing that battle from a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, not easy for him. Oh, well, tries to go down the inside. Kafenku was having another bit. That's a very slow driver on the outside. That may have been a back marker. That was a back marker. Fletcher remains in 19th place. And if he's not careful, he's going to get a couple more drivers involved as well. He's got Pete Harrod, who isn't usually the most aggressive driver. So Harrod does Fletcher this time, maybe into the right-hander. Almost contact between these two as they emerge from behind the buildings. And Kafenku is doing absolutely everything he can to hold on to this position. He knows that this could be the difference between starting 19th in race 2 and starting on pole. And he's keeping... Oh, dear. Oh, I mean... We're not biased.
Chaz, what you doing? We're bigging you up. So that's Blake that will have taken over. I wonder if there was a battle or it was just a mistake from Chaz. Perhaps thought he was in his in the sauna or the steam room. Car was getting a bit hot. Relaxing too much. And here we go with a little replay of what happened.
Well, he was bathing in soap earlier on. He was bathing in glory for so far in this race. But, well, not anymore.
Just a bit too deep. Hit that curb. Car didn't settle. Didn't hit any walls, though, so he's still going. But, yeah, Daz knocked him down a few places. Still, this battle continues.
I mean, I don't think Kafenku's going to get any Christmas cards from Fletcher at the end of the year. Because he's doing absolutely everything he can. It's the car number 44. It seemed a bit inevitable initially, but to be honest, every lap that goes by, you kind of think this might just happen. Which Kafenku might be able to hold him off. Currently running in 17th position. Gonna have to go all the way to the inside. Fletcher trying to just find somewhere on the inside, but there's a wall there. And before the wall, there's grass. Gonna go for it this time. This is gonna be very brave from Fletcher. And it was never really gonna work out. There's Bibby, who just runs off the circuit and might lose a position himself. He's not best pleased, is Bibby. And you can see how Fletcher's getting a little bit frustrated. Needs to remember that these are still decent points. And he's not going to lose too much in the championship as things stand.
Exactly. It could end very much worse if he gets put into the wall or something like that while battling. So, yeah, you do have to, that's what I was saying earlier, you do have to pick and choose your moves that you go for, especially when there are a lot of other cars around, and there's quite a gaggle behind him. So, yeah, it's going to be important to choose the right move here, I think, rather than force it.
We've got 2 laps to go then. As Lockwood, he'll be hoping that it's even less than that, because he's still got Kazorban right on his tail, 0.2 of a second between the two of them. Zorbon just glancing up, maybe just trying to spot his braking marker. Lockwood wide over the curb. Shouldn't get a slow down for that one. If anything, he took quite a lot of pace. Also, he took quite a lot of air as well over the curb. And he was able to defend into this next chicane. Maybe, I mean, it's difficult, Alex, I'd say, because, I mean, if Zorbon goes for a dive, he'll make the move. Because there's nothing that Lockwood can do, because these corners are so tight and twisty that, you know, you'll just force the opponent off. But, I mean, at the same time, he wants to be sporting, and he doesn't want to pick up any penalties.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, you know, you can do something about it, but usually it's going to end up in a couple of car collision. So it's whether or not Brian is going to be really aggressive and try and hold on to it, and risk losing a potential top 5 altogether. So that's what's probably up for you know, what could happen if they come together, really. So they've got a nice little margin behind that. So as long as they don't impale the wall, I think last lap, I think you might have a little look here.
It's a long championship, this. Not a whole lot of points difference between first and second place, but for prize, I imagine he'd quite like this. T-Bot Kazorbon, car number 211. Lockwood again with a decent run, and this is probably Kazorbon's best chance into this next chicane, but he's not close enough, and he's going to have to wait till probably the hairpin. It's lap 13 of the race, and yeah, just not quite nailing that chicane. I think it's going to be enough for Brian Lockwood to take this race victory, because Orban's got his teammate behind. Those two are going to battle into the last few corners. But Lockwood, after surviving that lap 1 carnage, he was nowhere near it, admittedly. And since then, he has been absolutely superb. We were meant to run more than 13 laps. We were meant to probably run more like 16 laps or so. He won't care one bit. It's still just the same amount of points. It's the same amount of pride. Brian Lockwood comes out of the final corner, and he's going to take race 1 here at Zolder. And that was a very good defensive masterclass there. I don't think Zorban can complain one bit. And it's car number 143. He takes away the big points in the first race of the evening. The driver's just crossing the line now. He's going to be top of the judge. Looks as though it's going to be Michael Blake, who I believe won the championship last season in the Pro-Am standings. And he's
Blake
going to
has got Woodhouse half a second behind, though, so if we could see that, that might be interesting just into the final corner.
It's just enough for Blake in the end. Held him off by 4/10 across the line.
Yeah, congratulations to Michael in the Simmortal Smile Time car there. Actually, it looks rather nice, that livery. So I do like what the guys have done with the overlay, adding the spotter pack cars onto it as well. Really does set it off, and I think we definitely got the right sizing this time.
Yes, absolutely. Can really appreciate them. The drivers have all crossed the line. That's how close they were. There weren't a whole lot of racing laps there, so they all crossed the line very close to one another. So we can go through the final results, and it was Brian Lockwood winning out by less than 0.6 of a second ahead of T-Bot Kazorban. Arthur LeHook finished in third place, and Keith Camilleri, Mike Partington, Christian Chalanet was a bit detached from those guys, but still solid 6th place after starting in 8th. Laszlo Hotchocks was in 7th. Very quiet race for him, to be honest, but still a very good result. And there's Maxime Bryant, Josh Thompson, and Michael Miller rounding up the top 10. The Miller was up 10 places. Christian Rose was also up 10 places in 11th. There's Dave Baker in 12th. Barry Baird, Michael F. Ducker, Michael Blake, Mark Woodhouse, Richard Gafenku, Mark Fletcher had a really tough race. Couldn't get past Gafenku. Well, I'm sure even if Gafenku doesn't win this season, he'll have that bit of pride to him. There's Lewis Bibby and Pete Howard rounding out the top 20. Behind that was Chris Wood, Chaz Draycott, who led the Pro-Am standings for 3/4 of the race. Just an unfortunate spin in the end, cost him. Billy Fletcher, Brandon Tabone, and there's Matt Bunt, Ross McFarlane, Mike Gray, Ben Gregory, Tony Baird, Ben Palmer, Nicholas Helm, Stephen Baxter, Danny Henney, Miguel Freitas, Jason Dilworth, Ronald Means, Pete Newman, Dan McCauley, Jake Blackhall, and there's Edward Rapriger. Richard Warmingham was the last driver on the lead lap, and then one lap down was Ethan Bass. Ewan Kaiser, John Tusting, and then 2 laps down was Dennis Eipenberg, and then the retirees after that big collision. Also having some technical issues, I believe, these drivers. Chris Danes, Carl Janssen, Ashley Blakehood, Rob Cuss, and James Eagleston did not take the starts. And so, 2 reverse grids. So we spin the wheel, and whatever the number comes up with, we reverse that many drivers. So if it's 15 drivers, then Michael Blake would be on pole position. And it's time, Sam, to spin the wheel.
Yes. For some reason now the wheel is not showing on the screen, so that's kind of a problem.
I mean, and we are quite corrupt as well, so we do often just make it up on a whim to whoever is the highest bidder.
Of course, I'm here as well, so I always take the bribes. So
Yes, you're the beneficiary.
I wouldn't be an Apex Racing TV broadcast without some technical glitches.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And a good time to say, you know, check out the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel. Certainly, you bring this broadcast, and also if you like this video, leave a like on it and subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. Plenty of a fantastic series on this with you know, dirt racing and over racing, all sorts.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, we've got a couple more broadcasts coming up on the channel as well, so that should be that should be good for next season. I believe the Sim Racers World joins the stable on here, so it should be fun. And of course, we're
here we
giving
go.
a bit of a shout out to our Twitch viewers as well, because see we are live on Twitch too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So, a couple of kicks later, the wheel is on the screen now, so let's just spin it. So, did you say we spin it twice or once?
Just the once.
Okay. So, in case the first race wasn't action-packed enough, we get the reverse of 24.
Ooh, that's quite a big one. Brendan Tabone then will be on pole position. He'll be starting ahead of Billy Fletcher, and then it will be Chaz Jaycott, who, you know, silver linings in that. He'll start on the second round of the grid alongside Chris Woods. So, that first race, I hope it was action-packed enough for all you viewers. It was maybe not for the right reasons, but either way, you know, certainly hope that you come back for race 2 in the World GT Championship here at Zolder.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces, and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres, but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys work so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods, and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iracing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name is Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President of Art and Production here at iRacing. This damage project that we've been discussing is certainly a project that involved all hands on deck to pull off. We've got a rather sizable number of cars in our portfolio, and not all of these cars have been built with this dynamic damage system in mind. So what we had to do is one by one go through our race cars, and we had a team of 3 artists, a highly technical modeler, our technical art director, and our associate art director. All took on each car one at a time, and the work involved was researching that car, researching what would happen to that car if it were in a crash, depending on the forces involved in the crash, how severely it would be damaged, what parts might come off, what those pieces might look like when they're removed, what it would look like where the car has areas exposed that were previously covered by bodywork. So they had to do a lot of modeling to each race car, and they had to do a lot of work to essentially set up how the car would react to forces. So essentially setting the strength of the materials. What kind of force would it take to rip off this side pod, for example? Or under what circumstances would this nose cone get ripped off of a car? Or under which would it remain, but just be badly damaged? But all said, it's been a lot of work, but seeing the car models interact with the physics system and the new crash dynamics is really exciting and really cool to see, and definitely makes all that hard work worth it.
Hi, my name is Jose Diaz. I'm a visual effects artist at iRacing. I specialize in particle effects ranging from fireworks to water fountains, debris, crash, impacts, all in the service of improving the driving experience. So you have the main sort of new damage model that Richard's been working on. So that takes into consideration all the mounts and the chassis from the cars and which materials they are. And he's making all the calculations that tell you, like, okay, it got hit from this one side and the strength of that impact is this certain amount of values. If you hit something, that means that this mount gets off, something breaks. This gets added on top of that to sort of complement what is happening there with things that you would see in real life when a car crashes. So typically in a car crash, you will see all these little particles of dust, metal, scratches that will take all that force and momentum and kind of explode in a way. And it's all being driven by how fast the car was coming, how hard the impact was against what. That will give you that sense of like, man, that person really crashed hard or oh, it was just a small bump.
Hi, my name is Chris Lurch. I'm one of the vehicle dynamicists here at iRacing. Our role in the collision project is to tune the collision properties of each and every car to ensure that they behave in wrecks as a real car would. And we've spent quite a bit of time going through literature from the automotive industry on the subject to make sure that we have panels that deform the way they're supposed to, both temporarily and permanently, that pieces that don't deform but rather just break at appropriate times in appropriate ways. The cars are absorbing energy the way they should and aren't sort of bouncing off the walls in crazy ways. The major properties that we look at are stiffnesses, which is how much a piece of the car deforms when a load is applied to it. And then we look at a couple of limits. One is the force limit beyond which the piece deforms permanently. And then the second limit that we look at is the brake limit, the force limit beyond which the piece will simply break. And then we also will look at damping, which is how much the piece absorbs energy versus how much it takes like a spring and can absorb as potential energy and then rebound back out like a basketball would.
Coming for a splash. Three, two, one, now. All clear, punch it. Great job, you did really well.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over
Welcome back to the iRacing Esports Network and the World GT Championship presented by Apex Racing TV. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick. Once again, I'm joined alongside by Alex Simpson with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Alex, we just saw an interesting first race. We had a bit of a pile-up. And apart from that, though, we had a fantastic battle for the race lead as well. I mean, in one sense, hopefully we don't have the same occurrence in the second race. At the same time, please have the same crash in race 2. But whichever way we look at it, 24 car reverse grid, it's hard to pick a winner out of this field for this next race.
No, I think it's going to be extremely difficult, actually. Just the way it's that big crash really spiced it up in terms of what we've got this time around. So yeah, I think the first couple of laps is going to give us an idea of what's going to happen. Yeah, like you say, I hope that we do have a clean first lap this time as well. So just everyone just a bit patient through that first chicane, or like I say, it's all a bit of a choke point, and yeah, they're aware of it this time, so should be no excuses.
If you didn't see the race 1 starts, well, we've got the formation lap coming up, so this might be a good point to go back to the start of race 1, have a check of it, and it was quite something, and then quickly come back because we're a couple of minutes away from going green for race 2. The drivers are lining up on the grid with the Porsche safety car just ahead of them. And on pole position for this race 2 is Brendan Tabone. He finished in 24th place in race 1, and so he gets pole position with the reverse grid. Billy Fletcher starts in 2nd place. Chaz Draycott starts in 3rd, top of the Pro-Am drivers. There's Chris Wood, another Pro-Am driver. Pete Howard, Lewis Bibby, Mark Fletcher starts in 7th place, championship leader. Remember, opportunity for him to score some big points in this race too, in comparison to his rivals. Then it's Richard Gafenku, Mark Woodhouse, and Michael Blake, who won out of the Pro-Am drivers in race 1. Then it's Michael Abdutka, Barry Baird, Christian Rose, Marco Namella, Josh Thompson, Maxime Bryant, Laszlo Kotchuks, Christian Challoner, Mike Partington, Keith Camellet, Arthur LeHook, Thibaut Kazorbon, and race 1 winner Brian Lockwood starts down in 23rd position. Then it's Matt Bunn, Ross McFarlane, Mike Gray, Ben Gregory, Tony Beard, Ben Palmer, Nicholas Helm, Stephen Baxter, Danny Henney, Miguel Freitas, Jason Dilworth, Ronald Means, Dan McCauley, Jake Blackhall, Richard Warmingham, Ethan Bass, Jeroen Kaiser, John Tusting, Dennis Eipenberg, Chris Danes, Carl Janssen, and Rob Cuss. 45 drivers, so we've lost a few drivers. Don't know where they've gone, probably to the moon after what was a horrendous race 1 crash. But still, a considerably large-sized grid. And hopefully this time we'll have the proper 20 minutes, not just the 13 minutes that we ended up having in race 1.
Yeah, 45 cars, still, like you say, still a decent number. But shame to lose the 5, but yeah, can get frustrating when you're involved in accidents and things like that, so...
I mean, it makes it a bit easier for us, thankfully. I mean, we need as few drivers as possible in order to keep track of the action. Each driver always has their own narrative, and unfortunately, we can't really give justice to everyone out there, but we certainly give it our best shots, and I might be able to appreciate the drivers' battles a little bit more. So Tabone from the pole position then. Yeah, do you think Tabone's going to be able to hang on to this? He's not a driver I've seen a whole lots of acts. I don't know if you've maybe seen him in some other broadcasts, but a bit of an inexperienced driver. I think this is his first ever season in the championship. This is quite an opportunity for him.
Certainly a new driver to me. I haven't covered him in any of the broadcasts before, so yeah, all the best of luck for him. Class A 3.4, 3,974 I rating coming into this one, so you know he's not a rookie by any means, just a decent level, so competent, so he should be able to, like you say, have a good result from this. And actually the drivers around him is sort of right up there as one of the highest I raters as well, so he just needs to see if he can break away from these guys and potentially build a gap to those sort of 6.5K drivers behind.
Here we go then, Brandon Tabone from the pole position. It's a decent start for him, and staying ahead of Billy Fletcher going down into turn 1. Already dropping down is Pete Howard, just dropping a little bit off the circuit. They're running through the gravels, leaving his marks in the gravel trap. Now we're going to see a spinner, just about gets the right way round the game, but a bit of contact for some of these drivers. Gafenku losing a position in all that. Also Christian Rose not with a terrific start, but out of the top 4, at least no changes.
It was in fact Gafenku who got just a little sideways, but he did get a little tap which sort of corrected him back up, so that was nice. As the moment that we've kind of been waiting for. Oh, somebody's going steaming up there. So, and yeah, it's happened again.
I mean, not in the same place, fortunately. It's not going to be a bottleneck. So it's better. It's improvement. Laszlo Kotchuks, he finished in 7th place, I believe, in race 1. He would have been starting in about 17th place, I believe, for this race, and ever so disappointing for him to get big damage, as you say, Alex.
I'm not sure who it was, but I think somebody got hit going into the braking zone, and it fired them off to the left, and they kind of cut the course, and it caused an absolute massive cluster. Oh, somebody else very sideways going into the final chicane. Again, manages to somehow collect it back up. That was Chris Wood. Didn't get a slowdown penalty for it, but yeah, did lose a couple of places, but that could have been a lot worse. So, but yeah, so whoever that car that just went flying across the chicane, that was the problem.
I mean, if Sam Coons managed to find this person, Keith Camillet, it wasn't Keith
The
Camillet, it was,
BMW.
oh
there
my
it is.
god, well, he gained a few places, safe to say. It was having none of that, going back to the old-fashioned Zolder, I believe, which, I'm not sure if it had the chicane there, so he took a lot of speed. See how many Nomad drivers there? There's still 4 in a row. So, you know, get out your cameras. I'm sure they'd be wanting to be the top
Oh,
position.
whatever that was as well in the Porsche.
Beard making the move. Nicely done. Gaining a place. Jack Blackhall, there he is.
Oh,
With a big incident and, well, he's not having the best of days, safe to say.
poor Jake. I mean, he might actually have like really good season up until now, but just yeah, like I say, maybe he'll get onto Facebook later and tell me to get out the commentary booth. Because honestly, every time I see him racing, he's involved in something. Poor Jake.
So the top 3, so Mark Fletcher's already got past Lewis Bibby, by the way, so I think we just missed that. Oh, sorry, that was Chris Wood, sorry, dropping down the order earlier on, side by side. Ho, there we go, with Tibok Kazorbon, one of the championship rivals, and he's battling with Brian Lockwood currently. 0.3 of a second between those two, heading down into turn 1. And some really good battling between those two drivers. Also, Camilleri in the thick of the action. He's battling with Mike Gray and also Ross McFarlane. Gray slotting in the middle there for XVR Racing. Just behind the V-Race driver. And then, yeah, Camilleri driving for KC Racing Esports, one of the front runners as well in the Teams Championship. Ever so close in the Teams Championship. We might have a look at it later on, but there's plenty too much action currently occurring out on the circuit. Seemingly settling down at this point in the race. The drivers being a little bit more well-mannered, safe to say. Fletcher is the one to watch out for. Mark Fletcher, that is. I believe he is related to Billy Fletcher. It is a common surname, but, well, they're in the same team as well, so everything points towards them being siblings. So a few of those sibling rivalries out on circuit. So if Mark can get past Chaz Draycott, then he's going to have a decent chance, perhaps, at catching up to his brother and teammates, and probably will not make it too hard for him. But Brandon Spain absolutely flying along at the moment. You can see that gap that he's been able to pull out. On that last lap, he was 0.4 of a second faster than Billy Fletcher. He's just edging it out lap by lap, and this is a perfect drive at the moment, side by side between Challoner and Brilliant. Brilliant going round the outside in his BMW, carrying really good speed there, and he'll have the inside for turn 2 easy enough for him. Challoner's second place in the championship. That was good defence there from Maxime.
It's always nice to pull a move off around the outside, isn't it? Carry that amount of speed, and did exactly that. Fantastic.
Might have a chance straight away at Chris Wood. Will be brave into this chicane. Wood just putting his car in the middle of the circuit, pretty much giving no option to the driver behind, taking a lot of curve on the first time, a lot of curve on the second time, and now could this be an opportunity for Challoner to go for the move, almost hitting the wall there. So easy to get ghosted in to that wall up the hill. But, well, I'm not sure how hard he is defending Chris Wood. I don't think he really cares too much if he drops behind these guys. It would still be a good result, but whatever he's doing, he's keeping them behind well at the moment.
I don't know. I think you want to keep hold of that top 10. You know, top 10 is always a really good result. So, and the positioning of his car just in the middle of the circuit makes me think, you know, he wants to hold on to that.
Side by side with Gafenki having to defend. He was pretty stern in his defence of Mark Fletcher earlier on. Mark Fletcher's just got past Chaz Jacob, by the way, up into 3rd position as the 111 car. Gafenki, though, he's, I don't know how many races he's done around this place, but he knows exactly where to position his car. There is Michael Evdoka also making a move, getting past Mark Woodhouse. And also Challoner just behind us, just got past Woods. So that was the battle we were watching before. There you go. So Wood will has dropped 1 place. Oh, sorry, he's dropped a couple of places. So Bryant and Challoner have both got past him. And next up will be Pete Had and Mike Partington as well. Partington, very quick driver of course. So he'll be pretty quick on the Team Mad drivers.
I haven't seen too much of obviously this season. How has Mike been getting on? I obviously know him as a former driver that used to race against in the World Championship for a while.
Yes, he's been doing okay. He's always in the top 10 or so in terms of pace. But of course, it takes a while to get used to this format. Across the grass there, drivers don't really care about the corners today. They're very much, forgetting about that, straight lining everything. And that was, in that case, I think that was Tubok Kazorbon, I believe, going across the grass along with Pete Howard as they made contacts coming out the hairpin.
I don't think you get a slowdown there, do you? So you're kind of okay. So, yeah, drivers doing what they need to. Good little battle going on way back now. This is 24th. Yes, so Dealworth involved in that. Camilleri as well. But still side by side. Freighter's getting involved in the action.
It's going to be big from Freitas to go around the outside at turn 3 and turn 4, but if he can keep his nose alongside, he'll have the inside for the next one. Maybe just glitching out there, at least he did on my screen. Yeah, I think he's having a bit of connection issues at the moment, is Freitas, but well, you can sometimes use that to your advantage, and that's what he's done. He gets past Jason Dilworth. Dilworth, though, awesome run out of the corner. Just about has enough, though, Freitas, and
not happy with that, is he?
No.
Not happy at all. Flash of the lights. He definitely had the run and looked like he could get by. Chris Wood with some problems dropping down. And yeah, that sort of chasing pack that we were looking at a moment is kind of on him as well. So don't know what happened to the Team Mad car, but yeah, he finds himself now in 18th place.
Yeah, worryingly low down for him because he might not get in the reverse grid for race 3. But to be honest, it's not a whole lot of fun to start so far up the grid because it is inevitable that you are going to drop down the order as a Pro-Am driver. He was one of the front runner Pro-Am drivers before that incident, but still could get some decent points out of this. The top
Say
six...
that to Brandon Tabon at the moment, though. Yeah, he's absolutely flying. 1.7 seconds clear. And just as Samuli switched the camera there, I thought I'd just absolutely cursed him, but I haven't, so it's all good. I was like, no, please don't. But yeah, 1.5. Mark Fletcher has got himself ahead of Billy, so yeah, the race is going to be on. We are, what, about 9 minutes in, so Danny Henney coming into the pits there for whatever reason, so not sure what that is in the Bricktech Sim Sport car. But yeah, let's have a look at this, at our leader. There's the gap. You can physically see all 3 cars still in the same shot. But yeah, lap time differences over the last little bit. If he can keep up this pace, it's going to be difficult for Mark, but I feel like Mark did overtake Billy on that last lap, so it might be a bit more come this lap. 125.4 and a 124.9, so half a second. So a few more laps, and that gap is going to be nothing. So going to have his work cut out for him, that's for sure.
Yes, I think it's probably inevitable that Fletcher will catch. But I think it was my walk who said, catching is one thing, passing is another, and that's what we saw in race 1 amongst the leading 2 drivers. Second place maybe was a little bit faster, but couldn't make the move. Tony Baird with a bit of an issue, dropping down the order. He was running in a decent place, was Baird. He was in 16th place, I believe, but dropping down the order just now through the opening complex, and here he was at the rear of this train.
So let me see what happened down into turn 1. Potentially sizing up a move around the outside. Oh no, just overcooks it ever so slightly. Loses the rear end on the way in. Nothing too major, but yeah, like you say, just loses him a few places.
Have you done much racing around this circuit, Alex? I guess you're mainly a single-seater guy, so probably the F1 cars don't come around here too often.
If I'm not mistaken, I have been here in both the Williams FW31 and
oh really? Okay.
the McLaren as well. So yeah, I can't remember in. Oh,
Oh,
it's
dear.
Lockwood and Casborn, I think it was. They're just getting together. They're okay. They continue. But yeah, so certainly the Williams, I think, was like pro qualifiers or something like that. So, but yeah, that was yeah, it's an interesting track in an F1 car, that's for sure.
Yes, we raced around Zandvoort last a couple of seasons ago. Imagine that being in real life. I mean, absolutely hilarious, that idea. Huh. Would never happen.
No, no, not at all. So actually, I think that's going to be a fun little race.
I don't mind those circuits where you can't overtake. You know, it's a bit different strategy. I mean, Monaco was one of the best races of the season, I thought, earlier on in the
Oh yeah,
championship. But
that's kind of what you
and
want. You want
Hungary as
a
well.
bit of a damp race, and it's going to really spice it up. Big shout
Yeah.
out, and thanks to the Twitch followers as well, guys. So thank you very much for that.
So Tabone's been caught, which kind of what we thought would happen. He's considerably faster as Mark Fletcher, and now Brandon Tabone. Does he think about the points? He is a pro driver, remember, Tabone, so he's not really fighting for a championship. No offense to him or anything, but I doubt he's going to be able to beat Mark Fletcher across the entire season. So you would think, you know, you don't get too many chances across the season to win a race. This is as good as it's going to get, I imagine, for Brandon. So hopefully we'll put up a stern defense. This could be a classic duel for the next 8 minutes or so. Got a nice battle between Challenger and Jaycott. I'd say it's a nice battle. I mean, it is probably relatively predictable that Challenger would make the move eventually, but Jaycott, after that mistake in race 1, after running in the top 15, this could still be a terrific result for him. He had an awful round at Brands Hatch on the season. I don't think he's raced ever since. But it's really good for him to have such a high result, and he's going to be one of the top Pro-Am drivers in terms of the points scoring so far this evening, once this race is in the bag.
Yeah, Chaz there just taking a bit of that curve that it caught him out so much in the last race. A little bit nervous there, but yeah, I think just important for Chaz just to have a clean race this one. No mistakes, and he'll have some confidence going into the final race of the night.
Yeah,
And
and
of course,
could get in that reverse grid as well.
yeah, exactly. And of course, it's he is our leading Pro-Am driver at the moment, so doing well. In terms of that sort of Pro-Am class, he'll be up for a good night, because he wasn't too far down in the last race. But
I mean, he was leading for a while, wasn't he?
yep. But I think he ended up finishing like 5th or something overall in class, so it was still pretty good. Fletcher then starting to look a little bit more racy. Tabone coming on a bit more pressure. Actually now placing his car just a little bit defensively. Of course, that we talked about that in the last race. It does affect your exit speeds, and that's where Fletcher can start to make the moves. Now, he's had to deal with this quite a lot in this race meeting, because it was what, Kafenku in the last race that he was having to overtake. And am I right in thinking that perhaps Brandon is Kafenku's teammate, as they're in the same Vasaro car livery?
They could well be. So maybe they're sharing the same drink or something.
Yep, KC Racing Esports, indeed. Yep.
So, well, he's doing a good job at the moment. And remember, he never actually got past in that last race, did Fletcher? So, if it is possible for Brandon to bone, and they may well be in the same Discord to bone and Gafenku. And I'm sure Richard will be urging him on. Gafenku, by the way, having a great race as well in 5th place. Having a really good round of it at the moment, KC Racing. And Fletcher, every lap that goes past, it's becoming a bit more possible for him. Is Billy Fletcher catching up to these guys? 26.3 to 26.4, and for Billy Fletcher, 25.8. So he is catching. Might not catch in time though. We got a few more laps of this race to go. Remember, in that last race, we only had 13 laps. So this would be the penultimate race. penultimate lap, sorry, but instead he's got to survive a little bit longer, has Tabane, and they're very close to one another, so Tabane and Fletcher almost side by side heading down the straight, had to go to the outside of Fletcher. Tabane almost yields that inside line. You cannot afford to do that. You've got to have that inside line into every single one of these corners. Now a little bit clumsy over the curb. Now they're going to be losing each other a lot of time. Once again, Tabane straight away gets his car to the middle of the circuit. Fletcher can't go for the dummy. And Tabane this time a little bit more comfortable on the brakes into that chicane. And this is rather stressful for him at the moment because there's no one easy overtaking spot, Alex, but there's a lot of half overtaking spots, and he's having to defend into every single one of them. Here comes Fletcher round the outside. He was a little bit deep on the brakes. Can he keep his nose in there? No, he can't. Tabane just about keeps the lead.
2 more laps. That's all he's really got to do, isn't he? Hold on for, I think. It's going to be okay, but it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be a 3-horse race as well. Just 1 second back now is Billy. The more he sees these two fighting, the more he'll think, you know what, I might be able to sneak a win here if they just sort of run each other wide or something like that. Fletcher's car actually looks a little damaged. Gets a good exit. Not enough though. We'll get the draft. Of course, it's all about this next long right-hander though. Nailing that on the way in, getting a good exit there, maybe using a bit of that runoff area, as exactly does Brandon. Again, just placing his car in the middle, leaves just enough room. Well, not really. That would have been ambitious to try and go around the outside. Fletcher with a good run, trying to get that overlap. Once again, yeah, Brandon just in the middle of the circuit, doesn't overshoot. That's the important thing. And it's not only is it a 3-horse race, but Lewis Bibby has joined the party as well.
Yeah, he's hoping that this kicks off. There's not a whole lot that Bibby can do. I imagine Billy Fletcher will guard his teammate, Mark Fletcher. I don't think he's going to interfere with that leading pair. Unless maybe we get to the last lap. These guys driving slowly might just get them to the threshold of this next lap being the last one. It's usually a 1 minute 27 lap per se. And we've got, 1 minute 20 to go. So this will be the last lap as long as the iRacing system does work well. And here we go then, 1/10 of a second between the leading two. Maybe half a chance there for Fletcher going into turn 1. Does go wide into turn 1. Now looks to the inside into 2. Tabane almost left it open. If he'd gone much more to the left-hand side of the circuit, then I think Fletcher would have been straight through. But this time, Tabane actually with a better run. He's got a larger gap than he usually has, and it's still not massive. It just shows how close they've been. And still, 0.2 of a second. Decent run for Fletcher. Heading down into the chicane. Bibby probably tries to make his presence noticed. Good exit for Fletcher there. Can he get to the inside of him? Here we go, side by side, going into the chicane. This is probably Fletcher's last opportunity. He's got the car's width. No. Superb on the brakes was Brandon Tabane. No yielding whatsoever. And he's running out of opportunities as the Radicals online driver. They'll probably know if it's the white flag or not. We'll have to keep an eye out on whether it is or not. As Tabane defends into the hairpin. He's raced in the middle of the circuit for pretty much the second half of this entire event after making a gap early on. Mark Fletcher is still going to be the championship leader coming out of this race. But Brandon Tabane, he started from pole position. He's going to negotiate the 14 laps. He's going to take the run to the line. He's only 1.5 tenths clear. That's all he needs. He wins race 2 of the evening for KC Motorsports. Well done to him. That was a superb defensive drive, Alex.
Fantastic. Yep, great driving all the way through. Fully deserves that 4KI rating and the 3.4 Class A rating that he's got. So phenomenal driving. So what is going on in terms of our AM? I think they've already come across the line. Draycott winning that one. So congratulations to Chaz. And yeah, this is a tasty little battle as well. Rose, McCauley, Warmingham involved in there as well. But yeah, what a great drive from Brandon.
Never really Fletcher got side by side. The good thing that there was no contact. But I thought into that second chicane, I thought he had him on that last lap. But Tabane just, he was feisty, but it wasn't too reckless.
No, absolutely, it was fair, and I think always as well with the way that sort of swings around to the left. If you're trying to go around the outside, you've really got to have a fairly large overspeed because you're the driver on the inside there is just going to have that short distance and nip back ahead and just break in the middle of the circuit, and it becomes almost impossible. It'd be reckless from Fletcher if he was going to throw it up the inside there, and I don't think he would have won the race even if he had done that there. So I think it would have probably been Billy, frankly, because they'd have just both sailed on at the chicane. So it was good fair racing from both of them.
Yeah, so we can go through the final results now of that race 2. What race 1 was good. I mean, that was equal, if not better, I think. Terrific action today in the World GT Championship. Brandon Tabone wins out by 2/10 of a second ahead of Mark Fletcher. Billy Fletcher finishes in 3rd place. Lewis Bibby closed in a lot in those closing laps, but finishes in 4th place. Good points for Maxime Bryant in 5th. And then it's Richard Gapenki, very good performance from him again in 6th. Michael Evdotka in 7th, Christian Chalonier in 8th, T-Bot Kazorba in 9th, and Brian Lockwood rounding out the top 10 despite a bit of contact. Ches Jacob was top of the Pro-Am drivers with Mark Woodhouse in 2nd place. Then it was Ross McFarlane, Mike Partington, Pete Harrod, Barry Baird. Chris Wood was 3rd out of the Pro-Am drivers after starting 4th place. Then it was Keith Camillet, Carl Janssen, good drive from 44th on the grid, Matt Bunn, and then outside the top 20 was Jason Dilworth, Nicholas Helm, Stephen Baxter, Ben Palmer, Michael Blake, Christian Rose, Dan McCauley, Tony Beard, Richard Warmium, Ronald Moons, Jerome Kaiser, Ethan Bass, Miguel Freitas, Mike Gray, Ben Gregory, Arthur LeHook, John Tusting, Dennis Eipenberg, Marco Namella, and Danny Henney. Those were the drivers on the lead lap, and those who finished. The retirees were Chris Daines, once again, unfortunately, Rob Cuss, Jake Blackhall again. Yeah, really awful day for him. Lazo Kotchucks, he had a terrific race 1, not so in race 2. And Josh Thompson didn't take the start, so something occurring to Josh. Hopefully we'll see him in race 3. Would be a very entertaining race 3 for him. So once again, we're going to have a reverse grid. We'll reverse a certain amount of drivers from the race 2 results to form the race 3 grid. And Sam, we're going to have the wheel spun any second now.
Yeah, this time around it has warmed up and shows up on the first time, so let's just give it a spin. So despite the big reverse, we had a very good race, so I'm not too worried about this one, and it's gonna be 24 again.
Ben Palmer then will be on pole position. Michael Blake just misses out, so it'll be Palmer on the front row of the grid alongside Stephen Baxter, and then Nicholas Helm and Jason Dilworth on the second row of the grid. Carl Janssen as well, the defending champion, starting quite far up. Could he perhaps take some crucial points for his championship in race 3 of the evening? Race 1, probably notorious for the lap 1 incident, but that race 2, notorious for the terrific duel between Brandon Tabone and Mark Fletcher. What are we going to have in race 3? Hopefully you'll join us back in about 15 minutes time for the final race of the evening in the World GT Championship.
In annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hi there, I'm Richard Jobling, Senior Software Engineer here at iRacing. I'd like to show you some of the work that we've been doing to improve the collision and the damage in our sim. One of the major changes we've made is how our collision systems work. The old system stored the track as parametric surfaces, and the cars were made of collections of spheres. As the cars moved around the track, we would recompute planes using the track surfaces and then test those against the spheres. This worked well for spheres but was too specialized to adapt to our shapes. So for the new system, we've built new high-resolution meshes for each track. This is more efficient and gives us a lot more flexibility for the car shapes. The new mesh incorporates all the track features our guys worked so hard to replicate. Things like curb geometry and changes in the surface material are all baked into the mesh. We've also taken our laser scan data and applied that to the mesh. And since the mesh is so high resolution, we capture all the detail that's necessary so that the tracks are just like the real thing. With our new mesh, we can now represent cars using smooth, convex hulls, which grouped together form the chassis, the bodywork, and all the other parts of the car. The new shapes are a much closer fit to the shape of the real car. During impacts, the shapes can deform according to the damage, and eventually they can break off as separate objects. All the parts, like wings, hoods, and wheels, can also hang from their joints, flapping and vibrating until they eventually snap off. All these changes are going to add a whole new level of realism to our races. If you want to find out more, please visit iracing.com and check out my blog post for lots more details.
Hi, my name is Greg Hill. I'm the Vice President of Art and Production here at iRacing. This damage project that we've been discussing is certainly a project that involved all hands on deck to pull off. We've got a rather sizable number of cars in our portfolio, and not all of these cars have been built with this dynamic damage system in mind. So what we had to do is one by one go through our race cars, and we had a team of 3 artists, a highly technical modeler, our technical art director, and our associate art director. All took on each car one at a time, and the work involved was researching that car, researching what would happen to that car if it were in a crash, depending on the forces involved in the crash, how severely it would be damaged, what parts might come off, what those pieces might look like when they're removed, what it would look like where the car has areas exposed that were previously covered by bodywork. So they had to do a lot of modeling to each race car, and they had to do a lot of work to essentially set up how the car would react to forces. So essentially setting the strength of the materials. What kind of force would it take to rip off this side pod, for example? Or under what circumstances would this nose cone get ripped off of a car? Or under which would it remain, but just be badly damaged? But all said, it's been a lot of work, but seeing the car models interact with the physics system and the new crash dynamics is really exciting and really cool to see, and definitely makes all that hard work worth it.
Hi, my name is Jose Diaz. I'm a visual effects artist at iRacing. I specialize in particle effects ranging from fireworks to water fountains, debris, crash, impacts, all in the service of improving the driving experience. So you have the main sort of new damage model that Richard's been working on. So that takes into consideration all the mounts and the chassis from the cars and which materials they are. And he's making all the calculations that tell you like, okay, it got hit from this one side and the strength of that impact is this certain amount of values. If you hit something, that means that this mount gets off, something breaks. This gets added on top of that to sort of complement what is happening there with things that you would see in real life when a car crashes. So typically in a car crash, you will see all these little particles of dust, metal, scratches that will take all that force and momentum and kind of explode in a way. And it's all being driven by how fast the car was coming, how hard the impact was against what. That will give you that sense of like, man, that person really crashed hard or oh, it was just a small bump.
Hi, my name is Chris Lurch. I'm one of the vehicle dynamicists here at iRacing. Our role in the collision project is to tune the collision properties of each and every car to ensure that they behave in wrecks as a real car would. And we've spent quite a bit of time going through literature from the automotive industry on the subject to make sure that we have panels that deform the way they're supposed to, both temporarily and permanently, that pieces that don't deform but rather just break at appropriate times in appropriate ways. The cars are absorbing energy the way they should and aren't sort of bouncing off the walls in crazy ways. The major properties that we look at are stiffnesses, which is how much a piece of the car deforms when a load is applied to it. And then we look at a couple of limits. One is the force limit beyond which the piece deforms permanently. And then the second limit that we look at is the brake limit, the force limit beyond which the piece will simply break. And then we also will look at damping, which is how much the piece absorbs energy versus how much it takes like a spring and can absorb as potential energy and then rebound back out like a basketball would.
Coming for a splash. Three, two, one, now. All clear, punch it. Great job, you did really well.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to the iRacing Esports Network and the World GT Championship presented by Apex Racing TV. We are just preparing for race 3 of the evening. We've had 2 terrific races so far this evening, and this third one should be no different around this, the circuit Zolder. The drive's just about to start to grid up. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again joined alongside by Alex Simpson with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And Alex, once again, difficult to call who's going to win this one. Another big reverse grid, and we've really shown so far today that overtaking is quite an ordeal.
Yep, we said that at the very start of the broadcast, it was going to be tough. And you're right, we've seen that, and two good races, really. 2 good battles at the front, and last race, I have to say, it's nice to see sort of the underdog come out on top. What will happen in this one, I don't know. Looking at that grid, though, Ben Palmer, we know how good Ben is. Just to talk about his rating before you go through the grid for a second, he's an A 2.7, 2000 rating, but Palmer, of course, does some real life racing. and of course that figure there is way lower than his driver ability. A driver that mainly focuses on league racing, of course, as there are quite a few nowadays in iRacing, not just focusing on the official stuff. Stephen Baxter behind him, so that's a pretty tasty front row. Could be in for a good battle, and those guys are going to struggle to sort of catch up and get by them. So sorry, Sam, I'll let you take the grid away.
No problem whatsoever. And yeah, you're absolutely right there. You may as well have a league iRating. Lots of controversy. How many iRatings you should have? Should you have GT iRating prototype? Should you have it per car? Should you have it per corner, perhaps? There's some suggestions such as that. But no, I think a league iRating would be terrific. Pretty much have that with the pro and am standings, I guess. Anyway, Ben Palmer then, as we've already talked, is on the front row of the grid alongside Stephen Baxter. It's Nicholas Helm in 3rd place, Jason Dilworth in 4th, and then it's Matt Bunn, Carl Janssen, potentially the favourite for this one, starting down in 6th place, and he really does need to get as many points as he can. Usually a overtaker is Janssen. Then it's Keith Camilone, another very competitive driver, Chris Wood, Barry Beard, and Pete Howard rounding up top 10. There's Mike Partington, could be another good result for him. Ross McFarlane, who's had a bit of a quiet day, but still raked in some good points. Then it's Mark Woodhouse, Chaz Jacob, Brian Lockwood, T-Bot Kazorbon, Christian Challoner, Michael Evdoka, Richard Gapenku, Maxime Bryant, Lewis Bibby, Billy Fletcher, Mark Fletcher, Brandon Tabone, of course, the race 2 winner. And then behind that got Michael Blake, Christian Rose, Dan McCauley, Tony Baird, Richard Warmingham, Ronald Moons, Jeroen Kaiser, Ethan Bass, Miguel Freitas, Mike Gray, Ben Gregory, Arthur LeHook, John Tusting, Mark Inamella, Danny Henney, Chris Daines, Rob Cuss, Jake Blackhall, Laszlo Kotchoks, and Josh Thompson. No offense, Alex, but I'm quite looking forward to Adam being back next week because I will not have to go through that big grid once again. 3 times is plenty enough for me. I just got a few more corners to come round, and yeah, Palmer's probably in a good position for this one. He'll be hoping that Baxter perhaps stays in P2 because then he might be able to pull away out in the lead.
Yeah, I'm sure, exactly that. Just trying. So it's going to be key, really, for those two just to get a good, clean start, and like you say, just try and stretch this field a little bit. If anything happens, like what we've seen in the first 2 races, there'll be a bit of a collision behind, so that will hopefully slow down some of the bigger reverse drivers working their way back up and through towards the front. So, yeah. And it's quite all right, Sam. I always shun the grid call out as well because it is pretty sizable.
Absolutely. So, Ben Palmer, he's at the front of all the grid. He will not care too much about the 50-odd drivers stacked behind him. Hopefully, he'll be looking ahead to him. Looking ahead to the 14 or so laps we're going to have for this race 3 of the evening at Zolder. And away we go. Palmer will keep that race lead ahead of Baxter. Helm in 3rd position. Got a little bit side by side between Bunn and Dilworth. Dilworth almost going around the outside, I believe, of Bunn, but Bunn actually makes that move on the inside for turn 2. And Jason Dilworth just gets shoved out a little bit, keeps it on the circuit though, but now he's going to lose more positions. And you can see Carl Janssen in the Course Sim Racing car. He's going to try to get through, but Dilworth seems to have stopped the gush of drivers. Now does get shoved off though. And well, this has not been the start he wanted whatsoever. Started up in 4th place, he's down to 8th position now. Still side by side with Chris Wood as we go into this chicane. We had problems in race 1, had a small issue in race 2 for the first half of the grid, at least relatively clean through that section. A little bit of contact perhaps for drivers, a couple of drivers missing the chicane, but that is as good as we've seen all day long.
Absolutely, we'll take that one, that's for sure.
So Palmer still 0.3 of a second ahead of Baxter then. Hasn't really pulled away too much on this opening lap as he hoped to.
Kaiser dropping down. Someone was on their roof. It was in fact Kaiser as well. That small time car sent for a little trip somehow. Maybe we'll get a replay of that one.
Here we go. Sam Puma, of course, on the camera, doing a terrific job as always.
Just turns in. And yeah, he had every right to. Just one of those horrible ones. And what what can you do when you're on your roof? Nothing but escape back to the pits, unfortunately.
Hope you'll see him back for next week during, yeah, this is a lot of this series, so sure he will be back. Mike Partington, I was saying how he could have a third strong race. Well, he's not, because he's dropped down the order. I thought I'd get to the point there nice and quick. Mark Woodhouse as well, he was second place in the Pro-Am standings in race 2. He's had an issue down at turn 1, I believe that was. But out in the lead, as we almost get a little bit of side-by-side between 3rd and 4th, Helm versus Bun. Bun's on a man on a charge currently. And that BMW, well, it can knock a few drivers out of place, and now he's gone round, and that's a bit of a curse. He's been able to do a full 360, but he's having to wait for all the drivers to stream past him. Rejoins the circuit quite safely there. He's trying to do a good job. It's always difficult, and Matt Bunn, to be fair, has done as good as he could have done there, and could have lost a few more places, and rejoins in the end quite safe.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Obviously, he was having a little look, and there's not a lot of room behind as well. And he just got the merest of touches, but it was enough just to get him loose and under braking already. Car just came around at the rear, and yeah. So I'm sure he'll be casting in that car, but yeah, like you say, kept his head and didn't just jump back onto the circuit, which was all good. Oh, a bit more collision around that area as well. Don't know who that is in the Ferrari. Yeah.
Looking for someone who's dropped down. Not sure who that was. Oh, maybe it was Josh Thompson. He started pretty much from dead last, and safe to say Josh hasn't had the best season so far. They do get one drop round, and he's already missed a round and also had a couple of bad rounds. Oh, and that's into the Mike Gray trying to get back onto the circuit, and we've got a couple more drivers round. That's Brandon Tabone, who won race 2, and he's had big issues. I think he's got back going on his way. And this is how it all happened. I think Gray, well, there's a little bit of action going on ahead. I doubt this has involved him. He just loses it there, and, well, I don't know if there's some oil on that part of the circuit, but all hell kicked off, and to be fair to Gray, couldn't have done too much.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, you're right. And that other incident was separate, wasn't it? So it was two going off at once. But yeah, nothing Gray could have done. He just lost it, and he certainly wasn't coming onto the racing line. That's not where you normally head. I don't know why. I thought this race had been going on for a lot longer than 4 minutes and 18 seconds, but apparently not. But Ben Palmer still leading the way, 0.3 of a second in it.
I'm sure Ben Palmer thinks that this race has been going on for more than 4 minutes. He would have been hoping that it has done, because I was saying earlier on how I might pull away. Hopefully Baxter was saying second place, he'll be able to pull away into the lead. Not quite so. Sorry, Stephen, that I underestimated you, because he's looking like the fastest driver out of this pair. Perhaps the fastest driver out in the top 4 positions or so. Oh, Janssen, still watch out for him in that BMW, the orange and white core sim racing car, because he is very quick, and usually he pull off some terrific moves at Snetstone earlier on in the season.
I think there was Lockwood in the background as well, going for a potential move too. We stay with this, jump on board with Baxter through the second chicane. And see Palmer got a much better exit, and a little bit of understeer there for Baxter. Heavy braking into this hairpin. Want to use that curb. That curb's got a nice little lip on it that actually helps pull the car around. So just want to hook your front right wheel on that, and yeah, get on the gas, and it kind of just helps pull it around. Oh, a bit deep, and using had to actually just do a little bit of correction, and yeah, all of a sudden Palmer's got himself a half-second gap, and it's Baxter that's looking to the rear, and he needs to, because here comes a move. Oh, and there's contact going into turn 1.
Safe to say there might be a protest about that one. I'm not quite sure. It's difficult to call. Yeah, maybe a little bit more space could have been given by either. But there you go, spinning round. It's not been a good lap for V-Racer, because dropping down there was Baxter. Oh, dear, it's happened again. Of course, McFarlane also dropped down the order in the past few minutes after running in the top 20 positions. And Baxter, well, I mean, there's a few painful things on iRacing. I think that is one of the most painful ones, having to try to get back on his way. This is kicking off now. This is Chaz Draycott in amongst Fletcher and co. Also, so Harrod, Bryant, Draycott, and then Avdoka, Fletcher, Gafenku. There is Avdoka down the inside of Draycott, who gave enough room. And there's also Lewis Bibby, who had a very good race too, going side by side at the moment with Gafenku. He's showed to be pretty difficult to overtake so far today, and he's living up to that reputation. Positioning his car just perfectly there.
Yeah, I thought for a minute Bibby may have got it done and was going to show us how it needs to happen around the outside and get the inside for the second part of that second chicane, but still Gafenko able to hold on. So really good, strong defensive driving from him.
Watch out for Fletcher. Of course, he's one of the fastest drivers out on the circuit, but about third or so in that queue of cars. Helm then in second place now. Camilleri is fighting with Janssen. Both Camilleri and Janssen are very quick drivers. I think they've both won a race each so far this season. I don't think anyone's won 2 races so far this season. Not even Janssen. I think he won the one at Belle Isle, and that's it. Was worth a bonus few points though, as he goes side by side. Good run out to the corner from the BMW. Got a lot of drivability, does the BMW apparently. But we've seen that a few times, the outside line into the chicane. The driver on the outside just feels so much more confident, so much more obtuse the angle into the corner. And, well, stays ahead in that third place. And Janssen, understandably, probably getting a bit frustrated now.
I think we've seen that all afternoon. Drivers just getting that bit frustrated.
He will probably feel as though he could win this one. They are catching up to the leader again. We'll compare lap times, Palmer versus Hell, because Palmer was about a second ahead, but you can see it's gone down a little bit less than that, 24.5, or sorry, 24.6 compared to a 24.4. So yeah, this group of cars are catching up a little bit. And Jason Dilworth as well, still there or thereabouts. And Tibok Kazorban is only just behind him. He's up 10 places so far, is Kazorban. He's been terrific so far today.
Yes, Dilworth, of course, Pro-Am leader. Chris Wood second, about 3/4 of a second behind when you take into consideration the car in the middle of them. So nice to see a battle for the lead in both classes.
Yeah, definitely.
Simone brings us up the mini-map just for a moment there and disappeared, but you can see actually the pack has spread apart a little bit more than what it has done in some of the previous other races.
Yeah, race 1, I remember how pretty much everyone crossed the line within about 20 seconds of one another. Side by side here with Helm. Almost contact between himself and Camilleri. Camilleri knows if he can get this one done, he can catch up to the leader and perhaps win this race. You can see Janssen looking every which way. Such a narrow part of the circuit this. It almost feels as though when you're driving down into that chicane that the track is just narrowing up into the chicane. Janssen could go for the inside here. Is he going to go for the dummy? Perhaps just needs to lift off. Well, actually, he's going to try to go all the way around the outside, but Camilleri is just too quick. He's too experienced for that. And yeah, neither of these guys are kind of fighting one another, and it's preventing one another from potentially attacking the top 2.
And Casborn actually now up and past Dilworth as well, so he'll be trying to hunt this little group down and get involved in it. We know he is certainly capable and quick enough. Chaz Draycott dropping down the order. He's had another little incident, and there is the CQR Evolution car, unfortunately backing up onto the circuit.
Still, a good day for Chaz Draycott, and I'm sure this a circuit where the Ferrari isn't necessarily at its best. For him to be quite as strong as he has been, he should be very pleased and clearly make some good progress.
Don't stroke his ego, please. He's not had a good day. He's had 2 crashes. He had 2 good races here.
He had a win.
Come on, Chaz, sort it out. Oh, Avdoka, bang over the curbs. So, see, before long you'll be saying, "Oh, it's okay, Michael. It's all right. You're having a good race. You just smashed over the curb."
Too generous.
Gotta tell him how it is. Come on, Chaz, sort it out. We know you're better than that.
Because Orban was the fast up of the race that last time out. He is now with these guys. These guys are fighting so much. I mean, remember, Camilleri, Janssen, Kazorban, probably 3 of the fastest 8 drivers out on the circuit, and they can't keep up with the top 2 because they're fighting into every single corner. And Janssen really wants to get this one done. He'll pull ahead going into the chicane, but it would take a brave man to go around the outside. He's only gone and done it now, contact, and who's that trying to get through? It's Kazorban. And this is getting a bit personal now between these two. The BMW undoubtedly the strongest car out on circuit. Down the inside into the chicane again. And Camilleri, after a stern defense for a few laps, can't hold him back. But so there you see a around the outside move going into that corner, Alex.
Well, I just think you've got to take every opportunity you can around here. It's just the battle in the way it's been tonight. So, yeah, it's not over and done with yet either, that's for sure.
And now we've got Chris Woods trying to hold back a couple of drivers. Dilworth, the leader of the standings, and yeah, that's Woods really right on his tail. A couple of drivers behind. Baird and Lockwood, of course, aren't pro-am drivers, they are pro drivers, so they won't be too worried about those guys. By the way, 0.4 of a second between the leading 2 as well. Helmer's closed in little by little. Was a 1/100th slower on that last lap though, so not a whole lot of progress being made now.
Yeah, I think when you get that close, it's always going to be a bit ebb and flow if you can't get by. There's just no real place that you're going to get that much closer.
I mean, this has been a good lap. Closed it from 0.4 to 0.2.
Yeah, both good exits coming out of that first chicane. Didn't take too much of the curb, either of them. Ferrari seems a little bit susceptible. Of course, we saw Chaz and Evdoka just a moment ago just catch that curb wrong, so must be something that they're a little bit cautious of.
Michael Hall not with a whole lot of faith in Ben Palmer out there. Could well win himself a little bit of money if this doesn't go well for car number 2. It's Lockwood. He won race 1. It was a while ago that, but he did win race 1, and he's been doing decently apart from that. So he will be one of the highest point scorers, I think, out of today's racing, and he's just got past by Beard. So.
Yeah, by Beard. Yeah, good move into the hairpin. Right. And you're right, Brian had sort of, well, obviously a fantastic first race. This is strong so far, and a stellar second race as well. And sometimes, you know, just 3, well, obviously 1 win, but 2 sort of just nice results can actually win you the meeting. And that's what I think he's hoping for here as we look back at this battle for 4th and 5th place. Osborne got the run, he's got the inside. It's going to be battle of the late breakers. They are side by side through that chicane. Never easy to do. They've managed to pull it off. Don't get spun. And who is going to be Oh, that's well.
Of course, having to serve a slowdown there. Now it's Kazorban, but he's trying not to lose the position due to it. And there's Camilleri. Is he going to go into the wall? No, well, he missed it.
Yeah, a little flash of the lights tells us everything we need to know there. Obviously, a slowdown penalty being served, but pushing wide. Again, it's up to the drivers whether or not anything will get processed, then the admins will look at it. But I think if you want to flash your lights at something, I think that's a good indication that there's something like that going in. So he did make contact, to be fair, and he is kind of holding on, and you have to think, had he not made contact? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest. Sam, there? What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, when you take the slowdown like that, desperate not to lose the position, but yeah, we'll leave it to the stewards, I think. I don't know if there's any precedence for incidents like that. We have got a precedent for race leads so far in this race, and or so far this evening, and they've all been terrifically close. And this is not letting us down.
There, I don't know who that was as well, but just to point out. But yeah, here we go then. So top 3 with what is 3.5 minutes to go, so 3 laps, sort of including this one. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Janssen looking quick. He's going to have to put a lot of pressure on very, very quickly to try and get by. If these guys battle just 1 lap, I feel like Palmer might edge out a second and a half, and we've already seen that today. Not easy to catch that back up.
We saw Janssen making a move on Mark Fletcher for the race win at Belle Isle 2 weeks ago. It's not easy to overtake around here, but it is probably marginally easier than Belle Isle was. He also made some good overtakes at Snetterton as well, so you'll fancy his chances. He was 1 second faster than the leading 2 on that last lap. They did start fighting, and that's really just invited him along. Thibaut Kazorbon was also 1 second faster, so he will catch up to these guys probably by the end of the race, but whether or not he'll be able to properly get involved in that battle is another matter. By the way, the track conditions are a lot cooler than they were in the last race, and so that means that they've been lapping that bit faster, and because we're so close to the threshold around this circuit, it means that we're going to have 1 extra lap in comparison to the last race. So that's why we're probably going to have 15 laps rather than 14. Oh, that's off the circuit is Lockwood, who'd been making some really good progress. I think he was maybe up into 7th place was Lockwood, but he's managed to drop down into 10th now.
I think we're about to see a replay exactly how that happened.
This is with Camilleri, I think.
Yeah, elbows are out potentially here. Oh no, I don't think there's anything again in that. Just a mistake. Racing incident. And apologies for the drivers who disagree with me. It's fine. It is the admin's decisions, of course, but I like to voice my my opinion.
Absolutely. So, 2 laps to go for the leading drivers at least. Purple lap time there for Thibaut Kazorbon. He's 1.5 seconds. So he is in the green car, 4th place. So Jason Dilworth, haven't really talked a whole lot about Dilworth, but congratulations to him. He's doing a very good job at 5th place. So I'm congratulating him. The race isn't over yet. I don't think he'll care one bit where he's running with a couple of laps to go. I think he'll care where he is across the checkered flag. And yeah, it's only just going to be 1 extra lap, but we're just about going to make it with about 45 seconds to go. Not the longest circuit in the world, this.
Will this lap catch anybody out? That's the interesting thing, Sam, because if they've not taken it into consideration, we might have a few people running out of fuel here.
And of course, the faster you drive around the circuit, the more fuel you're using as well. You're on that throttle for maybe a couple of % more around the circuit. So watch out for that one. We've seen some terrific fuel issues for drivers. Always adds a bit of a spice when the drivers have to lift and coast. But at the moment, Ben Palmer, that might just be what he needs to deny him this race victory, because so far he has been absolutely superb. Nicholas Helm hasn't really been able to make the move so far, hasn't been able to get alongside. Janssen's looking like the fastest, but cannot make any impression at the moment. And maybe the slipstream that Helm has got on the race leader just nursing him along. Kazorbon now 0.8 of a second behind. But he's going to probably catch as they go into the last chicane. And
Janssen having a look, yeah, but just too far back. Nicholas again on the brakes, pretty confident.
How much are these guys willing to risk? Janssen in particular, 3rd in the championship going into this meeting. He might even be lower than that coming out of it after, I believe, a non-finish earlier on. Can he afford another crash, or can he, the extra points for 2nd place would be very useful. Having to go defensive there, almost contact between the Nomad Sim Racing driver and the CQR driver. But it looks as though he's done everything he needs. Ben Palmer might be close for 2nd position. Janssen going to go for one last attempt around the outside into the final chicane. I don't think it's going to be enough for the car number 1. But Ben Palmer out in the lead. He starts in on pole position, and he's driven a superb race. He's going to win race 3 at Zolder. Janssen gets 2nd place by 3/100. He got Helm on the run to line. Still a terrific podium result for Nicholas Helm. Thibaut Kazorbon up 12 places, finishes in 4th. We got a driver slow on the inside. Might be a back marker. and all these guys ever so close across the line. Dilworth, Wood, Beard. Oh, sorry, Wood, that's not who we're watching, but that was the order of 4th down to 6th place. Pete Howard crossing the line in 23rd. And that was pretty mad. We don't usually get 3 really good races, but, well, that's exactly what we had today.
Well, I'm glad. It's kept me entertained all night, and like you say, yeah, we've had 3 good races. A little shame about the instance in lap 1 and of race 1, and again on race 2. But yeah, I mean, I love that second race battle, and this one right up there as well. Congratulations to Ben Palmer on that win. Just showing that, yeah, don't believe that I-rating figure. You never do know. Some of these drivers, like say, will race lots and lots of races in league racing and be very, very competitive, and proving it right there.
Definitely. I'm not sure if Ben has won a race in this series before, but could well be his first win. So congratulations if it is, and congratulations if it isn't. Still a terrific achievement. Certainly his first win of the season. And I struggle to think of anyone who's won 2 races so far this season, and it's been that open. So, the results for race 3 here at Zolder, meeting 4 of the season. It's Ben Palmer who wins out by 0.8 of a second over Carl Janssen, ahead of Nicholas Helm rounding out the podium. Thibaut Cazorban, terrific drive from him, starting in 16th place, finishes in 4th. Then it's Jason Dilworth, Chris Wood, Barry Baird, Maxime Bryant, and Mark Fletcher and Keith Camillet rounding out the top 10. Brian Lockwood had a bit of contact near the end in 11th after Le Hook. 36th place to 12th. We didn't see a whole lot of him, but clearly a very exciting race for him. Richard Gafenke was in 13th place. Then it was Lewis Bibby, Dan McCauley, Michael Abducker, Michael Blake, Matt Bunn, Chris Daines, Christian Chalonier, rounding out the top 20. And there was Richard Warminger, Billy Fletcher, Pete Harrod, Laszlo Kochoks, Chaz Draco after a bit of a spin, Tony Beard, Miguel Freitas, Brandon Tabone, the race 2 winner, Stephen Baxter, Ross McFarlane running out the top 30, and then it was Christian Rose who had a little bit of a difficult day, Ethan Bass, John Tusting, and then the drivers 1 lap down. There were quite a few of them. Danny Henney, Ben Gregory, Mark Woodhouse, and Mike Gray, and then the retirees were Jerome Kaiser, Rob Cuss, Ronald Moons, Josh Thompson, Jake Blackwell, Mark Nomella, and Mike Partington. 44 drivers, so we started off with 48. A few got sent to space in race 1, and then between race 2 and race 3 we only lost 1 driver. Terrific turnout. Do thank the drivers for turning up, because it certainly puts on a very good show for us. At the moment we haven't got any drivers, inexcusably unacceptable from the drivers, because I'm sure there's plenty to be told from those races. But I'm frantically looking now to see what the next race of the season is. I believe it's Monza, but I will just make sure, because that'll be round 5 of the season after the Greek week last week, and it is not Monza, it's Imola, and then it will be Monza. So Imola next, another tight twisty circuit. I don't know if the organisers had deliberately had 5 twisty circuits at the start of the season, but personally, Alex, I absolutely love Imola, particularly in GT cars. And of course, quite new to iRacing, only been on iRacing for a couple of years. I'll be a very good host for round 5.
Yeah, I do enjoy the circuit. It's not one that I'm very good at, I have to say. You know, where you just have like sort of bogey circuits, that's definitely one that I really, really struggle on. But yeah, no, it always makes for really, really great racing, actually. And then follow that up with Monza, I think it's going to be yeah, it's going to be a great couple of sort of weeks racing. So yeah, completely different. Like I say, Monza just all about that speed and nailing the braking points into some of these very, very tricky chicanes. So yeah, it's going to be a good couple of weeks, and yeah, I'll tune in. Adam will be back, no doubt.
Absolutely. Imola, I imagine, will be very strong in the BMW over those big curves, and then Monza, certainly the first Ferrari circuit of the season. Then we've got Montreal, Laguna Seca, Spa, Motegi, Kota, Silverstone, the new one, I assume, Road America, the Bend circuit as well. I'm looking forward to that. Never broadcasted a race on the Road America Bend circuit before. There's a little bit of an extra corner added before the kink, which might be a wise decision, because it prevents drivers from slamming into the the concrete wall, and we may well have the new damage model by then. So that's some good thinking from the organisers. And then Okayama, the penultimate round of the season, and Watkins Glen, the classic boot layout to round out the championship. And well, we've seen some pile-ups around that circuit in this series, so that'll be a terrific place to end the championship. Still, no drivers. So I think we might have to say goodbye. Usually we have a chat with Josh Thompson. We can always rely on Josh to have a chat with us, but he didn't have the best race up there, so I do understand why he wouldn't have a chat with us. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, certainly do leave a like, and also check out the iRacing Esports Network. Loads of different series, V8 supercars and prototypes and GT cars, and also the BSR Mazda Pro Series as well, tomorrow evening, similar time to this. And that always provides some pretty carnage racing, similar number of drivers to this, but all in MX-5, so about 10 times more crazy. And also, if you wouldn't mind, please check out our Facebook page, Apex Racing TV, and also our YouTube channel, Apex Racing TV. You know what? Me rambling on. Well, we've summoned Mark Fletcher, and to talk to Mark. Mark, well done out there. I mean, you started this evening in the lead of the championship, and I believe you are still in the lead of the championship.
Oh, you know more than me, so that's good to know. That was a tough one, really tough, in fact. So yeah, we managed to get through, really just about.
Yeah, that was particularly race 2. That was a terrific battle, and also race 1 as well. I think it was Richard Gafenki who you had an absolutely almighty battle with. Just take us through some of the battles you had out there today.
Yeah, you know, race 1, I qualified well again. I think I was up into 6th, and it just got a bit messy going into the chicane. It's just one of the things, you know, we got turned around and I had to wait till the end. I think I was back in like 34th. I can't remember if I think I was kind of playing in my mind to get in a position where I would be in a shout with the reverse grid. So once I was battling with Rich, I was like, right, okay, he's not going to make this easy for me, but I don't want to wreck us both out. So I just sat in 18th and then just prayed that was going to be the reverse grid. But obviously that didn't work for me. And in the second race, obviously Brandon starting on pole, and Billy, not my brother, but just a good mate, said to me, look, if you catch me, you need to get on the back of him, because you know, you guys need the championship points. You know, fair play. You know, we used a bit of team tactics, but again, stuck it on the racing line, and second place is better than both of us DNFing at this point in the championship, really. So
absolutely, and that's a good kind of foresight as well. Have you done many of these types of championships? Because the thing that we always say in the commentary box is that it doesn't really matter how many races you win, it's all about how many top 10s you get. So have you certainly got that mentality for this season?
yeah, you know, I think it took us radical boys a little bit by surprise how far we are up the leaderboard. You know, we're 1-2 coming into this round. I don't know if that's still the same. You know, Christian was having a wicked race. You know, he was buzzing off the fact that he got 2 top 10s and stuff like that. So, you know, you've always got to think about the long game. You know, you don't have to win every race. You know, win now and again would be nice, and I'm trying, but you know, the top 10 is as good as we can get. You know, sometimes you've got to deal with it, haven't you? So
absolutely. Well, you're putting together a terrific championship so far. Next up, we head to Imola. Is that a circuit that you enjoy?
Yeah, I'm actually quite a good fan of Imola. You know, there's some big curves. You think the Ferrari's going to go well at Imola again. I've raced there in SCO. Again, a tough track to pass on, but more places to pass than obviously Zolder. So no, it should be good. Should be a good one. Straight into it now. No week break.
Absolutely. Well, great to talk to you, Mark. And is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just the standard ones that really quickly this time. Cranfield, Joe Realtime in, Armour, Asher Sim Racing, Motor Podcast Boys, U-Turn Racing, Simmortal, and Picture Dust. And a final last shout out, the guys from Sim Racing Studio, they've hooked me up with one of their dual fan systems, because obviously I race in VR and I get really hot. So they've sent me over one of their systems to use, and it's fantastic. So thanks to those guys.
Thanks for having a chat with us, Mark, and good luck for next week.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. See you later, guys. Thank you.
Okay, we're also going to have an interview with Brian Lockwood, who was managed to win race 1, also got pole position in race 1 as well. Brian, that was, I guess you didn't see any of the carnage that happened behind you, but I imagine you were quite pleased when the pace car came out on the opening lap.
Actually, I was a little disappointed. I had a nice lead going at that point, I think 1.4 seconds or so. And I had to start from scratch again with T-Buck really, really pressuring me after that pace car. But yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to hold on to the win there.
Absolutely, and I think today you got 3 top 20s. I think so, at least, and that's must be really good for you because that's how you accumulate the points. You must be quite pleased with how this evening went in the end.
Yeah, well, I got a first, 10th, and 11th. I'm really happy with my pace and absolutely my qualifying result. Really have to thank Marco Nermello on our team for that. He made a fantastic setup for us. But the racing was just really, really disappointing. There was so much contact, and I think part of it's just the nature of this track. But it wasn't an enjoyable last couple of races for me. So I'm just, walking away from this with decent points. The car's much more banged up than I would have liked it to be, but I'm really looking forward to the next race with some wider tracks and better racing.
Absolutely, and in terms of the championship, you're still in the championship hunt. I think after today, you're going to be at least 4th in the championship, I believe. You might even be 3rd. Are you aiming for the championship title, or maybe are you aiming for the team championship?
Both.
Both. Well, that's a good attitude to have, definitely. But yes, certainly best of luck for that, Brian. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I already thanked Marco. Thanks again, Marco. Hashtag Marco Magic, everybody. And thank you to everybody at Racecraft Esports. We're growing pretty quickly, and I'm really happy to see everybody working together, especially for series like this and the other challenges we're taking.
Absolutely. Thanks for having a chat with us, Brian, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Sam. See you next week.
So that was Brian Lockwood, and I think that will round out our interviews today. So, well, I already have blabbered on about what's coming up on the iRacing Esports Network, but once again, do check out the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel as well. So I thank everyone who's tuned in, had some terrific viewing figures. Super appreciate you catching the stream, and hopefully you'll be back for next week as well. But for now, from me and from Sam and from Alex as well, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.